Girlfriend has suddenly become religious and I want to break up. Hey all. We have been dating for 4.5 years and they have been great, well not the last 6 months. You see, in the last 6 months she has really decided that she wanted to get closer to her faith as a Christian. I was understanding and told her that I would help her get through this and would do whatever is necessary. I have also been religious myself, so I thought that I would also try and get closer to my faith, but this has just led me to one conclusion. I don't want to be religious. We go to church and I spend my time in church thinking that while the stories and the meanings behind them are great, but I don't feel anything. She constantly tells me that there are signs from God everywhere, but I just tend to think these are coincidences. She always tells me to pray and she tells me that every time she prays she feels closer to God, whereas when I pray I feel absolutely nothing. I am a very evidence-based person. Unless you can prove 100% to me that something is there, I just can't believe it. I want to believe but I just can't. This is why I feel like we need to break up. She has been talking to me and telling me that she wants to raise a family in the traditional Christian style and that we need to get better as Christians. So we stopped having altogether, even though we had the greatest we have both ever had, and the plans to buy a house have fizzled out because we have to get married first. We have always talked about getting married, but now I am not so sure because of all of this. I keep telling her that getting married then buying a house would be fine if we just have a cheap marriage at the local town hall, but she wants a big extravagant wedding, and that means that buying a house after a wedding will be so difficult. I told her that I wanted to try acting classes as I have never done that before and I think I could be good at it. She supported me for all of 5 minutes until she says, maybe you could do some plays about the gospel. That's a great way to spread the message. Then she talked about stories from the Bible. Whenever I was trying to get advice from her, I was stunned, so I just sat in silence. I just want the old her back. I miss the love of my life who has been changed into someone she isn't. We had a mutual friend group who we never see anymore because she cut them off due to a small silly fight, and in her words, they need to meet Jesus, and now she only wants to make new Christian friends. I know I need to break up, but what do I say? What do I do? She also has her baptism coming up and I feel like if I do this before that's unfair, as I told her I would be there for her, so should I do it before or after this? Comment. I'm really happy for you for embracing your spirituality, but unfortunately, it means we're no longer compatible. I'm not interested in converting and can't stay in this relationship any longer. I leave you with nothing but best wishes moving forward, but I do need to go. No contact from here. Every second, you fake being religious makes you the problem in the relationship. You need to tell her ASAP how you truly feel and deal with what comes afterward. In the end, she wants traditional Christian values and you don't agree with that, nor do you want to live a future life as a Christian. If you really love her, you'd be honest with her. Pretending and leading her on to believe you agree isn't love. It's selfish and cowardly. Afraid she'll be sad? There's no avoiding that. This is a sad breakup with two people who still have a lot of regard for each other, but whose lives are going in different directions. Let her be sad. Be sad yourself. Afraid she'll convince you to stay together? Just be firm, and emphasize how bad this is, but that religious difference makes you incompatible. Start watching videos about the evils of purity culture so you can stay firm. You don't want that for your kids. Afraid she'll be violent? That's a whole other thing, and it is possible to explore safe ways to leave someone if you fear for your person. Afraid of retaliation? Tell all your friends right after the breakup, and make it clear that it's sad, you're broken up about it, but the religious difference is too great. You'll lose your religious friends, but that's just a win. You'll make new theater friends from your acting class. So you'd rather live a miserable lie? Remember, she caused this rift between you by turning into a cult member. Be honest with yourself and with her. Stand up for yourself. You can't control her reaction. Today. Definitely before. Just say exploring with her has made you realize you don't want to be religious, or raise children in a religious household. There is love in your relationship, but you no longer have shared goals or the same vision for the future. This is the right thing, up. I know it's hard, but it's your whole life, and you have to be with someone who will share your life in a meaningful way. You will constantly be at odds with her, and it won't be her fault or your fault, but you will be miserable. We don't want the same things anymore is the simplest explanation, but if she fights you on it, try telling her the two of you are unequally yoked. She'll understand what it means, and if she doesn't, her church friends can explain. She's right about one thing, though, buying property with someone before you're married is a bad idea. In no small part because they could do something like have a total personality change based on a religious epiphany, and then you're stuck with all the complicated legal entanglement of who's entitled to what you'd have in a divorce with none of the prenup protections. Next story 2. FMIL threatens to revoke paying for our wedding unless we invite someone I hate. This is a long story and some details will likely be left out in an attempt to keep it concise. I'll answer any further questions in the comments. Sorry for any formatting issues, I'm on mobile. I've been with my fiancé for 6 years and we will be getting married next summer. Our relationship is amazing and I have historically had a great relationship with his family. His sister made me promise that we would still be friends if me and so ever broke up, and she confided in me on multiple occasions for advice in serious circumstances. Everything changed when she got a new boyfriend last year. I found out about his existence when FMIL called us and begged us to help her daughter find a better man. I initially dismissed this as FMIL being judgmental, but upon hearing more about this guy from FSIL, everything she said about him was a red flag. I had a few conversations with her about this maybe not being the right fit or relationship for her, and she flipped out. I realized that I hurt her feelings and I apologized to both her and him for causing them pain. A major pain point was that I was cautious that he may have outdated/conservative views due to his interests and level of education, and that would cause a fundamental incompatibility in their relationship. After we decided to move forward, we were invited over to his apartment. He showed us around and I saw some things that I believe were pretty disturbing. He had hung up centerfolds from pornography magazines on the walls of his workshop, all of his decor in his kitchen was pin-up girls on Harleys, and most importantly, he had a boobs and butt/hourglass figure torso shot glass with the Confederate flag on it displayed prominently. This man has lived in the North his entire life and I see no excuse for anyone displaying a hate symbol in their home. So an FSIL were raised in a liberal household and got a good education at a private school K-12, so FSIL should know better. In an effort to communicate effectively and not be reactionary, I kindly brought it up to her and she asked him where he got it in an effort to get an explanation. He said he didn't know and changed the subject. After seeing these things in his home and witnessing him lying, I felt super uncomfortable around him. I genuinely don't feel safe in his presence and he gives off bad vibes. To this day, I start to get adrenaline pumping through my veins and I feel really dizzy and sick to my stomach whenever near him. I decided to have a conversation with FSIL stating that I am concerned for her and don't feel comfortable around her BF anymore after seeing his home decor. She flipped out, got FMIL involved, and blocked me for over 2 months. She was only with him for 4 months at this point. Fast forward to today, FSIL's BF has refused to apologize because he didn't do anything wrong and FMIL has labeled me the SG because I'm tearing the family apart by not accepting the boyfriend. Since the convo FSIL has missed many family events in favor of spending them with his family, and refuses to spend time with us on birthdays etc. So doesn't like this guy either, and FSIL cuts off anyone who disapproves or unfairly judges him. Because I literally feel unsafe and scared when around him, and I decided that my enjoyment of our wedding was more important than his presence. We made it clear to his parents yesterday that he would not be invited and that the topic was not up for discussion. They've only been dating for 1.3 years at this point, and we have a no ring no bring rule. Today, FMIL sent a 4-page long email starting with "as your parents and investors in the wedding," in all the definitions of the word, and continued to say that he must be invited. They fear that if we don't invite him, FSIL will go NC, she is already LC, and this is not acceptable to them. I find it reprehensible that FMIL is willing to threaten to not pay if we don't invite him, especially if we made it clear it wasn't up for discussion. I really have no clue what to do, all advice is appreciated. Comment. Op. My first thought is, pay for your own wedding. My second thought is that your FSIL, whether she planned it or not, has skillfully played you and her mother off each other. She won because now her mother is supporting FSIL's relationship with a guy whose home decor is that of a 16-year-old southern bubba. If you are as triggered as you describe over a few soft porn pin UPS in a guy's workshop and a prohibited flag on a shot glass, maybe you need to discuss this with a therapist. Imho, eye rolls would have been more appropriate. The healthiest thing for you and so would be to say you're sorry they feel that way, but you respect their decision and will go on without their support. Invite those you want to be in attendance and move on. No need to be vindictive or petty, though that's my first instinct, and I resisted the urge to suggest it. It's probable that your Sil will need your support in the future when she has to get out of an abusive relationship with the Neanderthal. Invite her to the wedding, without a +1, and be clear that you still love her. They don't want to lose their daughter. They are in a terrible place. Your talks with her, the way everyone's reacted to her boyfriend, she feels targeted. And being young, she's going to double down and fight to be with him and be accepted. They can lose their daughter if they pay for your wedding and he's not invited. The way everyone wins is you don't take the money and don't invite him. He's hateful, racist trash. I'm not condoning or excusing anything. But if he isn't abusing her, everyone is stuck with this. No one seems happy. The daughter seems to be the real issue for putting everyone in this position. But is it enough for her parents to risk her cutting contact? I'm sorry, this sucks. No one is going to be thrilled with the results, but a choice does have to be made. You did overstep. It really isn't your business to try to correct FSIL's relationship. It sucks that she's making terrible choices, but they're hers to make. With that said, you get to choose who comes to your wedding, period. Sadly, accepting money from others gives those others a sense of entitlement in having a say. Your wedding is not the time or place for others to try to mend a relationship. On the other hand, we had 70 people at my wedding, so a fairly small wedding, and while I saw everyone for a few moments each, I only spent time around those I chose to. There were people that I didn't care to have there, including my now ex-FIL, but honestly, I never saw him. With the exception of photos, not even once. There were other people here, like my drama queen aunt, that I don't even remember seeing at all. My point is that you could invite the jerk and just avoid him and FSIL. However, it's your wedding, and there's absolutely no reason you have to. Could you do so to help keep the peace? Yes. Is it your responsibility to do so? Absolutely not. In the future? Maybe keep your opinions about other people to yourself. Your FSIL is an adult, and unless she's being abused, she doesn't need you to meddle. Of course, she's mad. Even if the guy is a flaming asshole, honestly, the only real red flag is the Confederate flag. Pornography on display is highly inappropriate but hardly a dark, deviant behavior. It isn't your place to pass judgment on him or her. She didn't ask your opinion, so it's not surprising she took offense and got angry. If you are uncomfortable around him or feel unsafe around him, stay away from him. Don't be alone with him. But in a crowd on the other side of the room, say at a wedding, you should be just fine. In the end, it's your decision to make, and if you choose to burn this bridge, it is your right. But in the scheme of things, in the grand picture, and only you can answer this, is the drama over having him there greater than the drama of not having him there? The money isn't even a factor, BTW.